Hello everyone, my name is Mieszko Manijak and I'm from the Technical University of Denmark, and I'm here to present you the Digital Halo project. So, to quickly tell you about the background as we see it. So data privacy is a very hot topic. It's getting even hotter, as we probably all know, with the EU courts and CEOs of the biggest players talking about it. And it will be probably on the rise because everybody has a stake, not only individuals, I mean. And we don't really have solutions available, and research is also maybe not in its infancy, but there's a lot of work to be done. So, as it was pointed out, oh yeah, sure. As it was pointed out earlier today, one of the necessary conditions is raising the public awareness about the subject. So that's our main goal, and secondary goal is to get some data available for further research. So we are focusing on the browsing data. Browsing is pervasive. We visit pages that are reflecting probably every aspect of our life. So it's as if we are living in the browser, and it makes it very intimate and quite probably sensitive. But we act as we don't remember it, or we don't know it. At least I act like that from time to time. I don't know about how about people here, but I think it happens quite often. I mean, we share it with the hundreds of advertising companies. So the Digital Halo project is a browser extension which aims at raising this awareness. So it's a browser extension. There were already some presented today. And the first one was coming from a very similar position as ours, actually. So it intended to be more evocative about the tracking. So the existing extensions, they focus on ads, not trackers mostly. I mean, you can see it in the Chrome extension store, for example. They are 10 times more popular, the ad blocking. And the anti-tracking tools, or even further information tools, are underrepresented. So we think it's because, well, ads are much more visible, maybe much more annoying, and much easier to understand, to comprehend than the tracking itself. So, as I said in the beginning, we want to present it more evocatively. So, I will quickly outline what I will be talking about. Now it's just, first I will present the core functionality of the application, then some implementation details about the front end and the back end, and then our prospects, and there will be time for questions. So this is how the UI is supposed to will look. So here we present user's online persona. On the left side, it's symbolically represented as a cookie jar with a looking glass on top showing the persona, and then the cookies and cookie monsters eating those cookies. So cookies are the trackers. There can be, of course, fingerprinting as well, and the cookie monsters are the companies which are tracking. And then on the right side, it's substantiated by, well, it can be different things, but our first try will be on some demographic information. So, yeah, that'll be the first try. So if user clicks on a cookie monster, it will appear on the right side, and it will force it to give out the information digested from consuming all that cookies. Which is shown, for example, here. So it's to show what, for example, Facebook can know about the user, even if the user is not logged in, even if the user is not a user of Facebook, for example. Yeah, so that's the base. So about the implementation, we used a Blink-based extension. We start with Firefox, but then since we heard that the API is being introduced to Firefox the same as the Chrome, then we moved to Chrome. We'll hopefully port it whenever we can. And it's basically doing tracking of the tracking and of the user's history as well. So we based our blacklist and code bases on the disconnect, which is open source. And we also obtain a demographic model of one of publicly available of one of online analytic companies. So to say a bit more about the visualization and the presentation, as I said, and as it was said many times today earlier, there are many ways that it can be done. And some of them are very exciting. And what we have there, it's a first try. So our ideas, other than that, is to single out some sensitive facts, perhaps from health or other personal facts, and just present it to the user without exposing it, of course. Evaluating of the financial value of the personal data, perhaps comparing it with evaluating the actual value derived by the companies, comparing it to a potential value, which is supposedly much higher, to show the users that they are overcharged, you could say, I mean, at least possibly. And then personalized risk scenarios based on the data. If we could have models that would show what could happen if the data would be leaked to or presented to, for example, insurance companies. So we are also using a backend, which could raise a question: why are we using it? I mean, most of the extensions are using local storage. And then allows, or actually kindly asks the user to share the data with researchers, which is simple, which is limiting the exposure, which is good. We have a slightly different approach. We'd like to bring the data closer to the user, to make them be more aware that the data is real and it's theirs to control. And so instead of putting it into perhaps opaque places from the user's simple user's perspective, that is the local storage or a database, we present them as files in a file system. Right now, using Dropbox for sharing, but it can be any other system. So having it just on Dropbox, that wouldn't do the trick. It would be just files, and asking users to manage it wouldn't do much good. So we build, or are currently building, a system to manage it based on, it is an OpenPDS implementation. So for those of you who might not know, it's user-centric data management framework proposed here at the Media Lab. That's supposed to manage the data, so make it available for research and analysis by empowering the user. So what we focused in our implementation was that it's supposed to be as localized as possible, so all the computation and data storage is done on the user's machines, and distributed if we talk about aggregating and sharing the data, but we'll still have to work more on that part. So to limit the exposure while making the data available, and that it's user-facing, so the educational part. Well, basically, I already mentioned that. So looking forward, we'd like to see if we can get more data and more engagement from the users, or actual engagement, so then we can further our ways of presenting it and make it available for research, not only for us, but also for other researchers in the PDS and Save Answers framework. So the data would be possibly available on a continuous basis, not just one-time sharing, with user engagement and possible reuse. Oh yeah, we're also thinking about doing some tracker discovery, the privacy badger style, but these are plans for the future. So just in the end, I'd like to show you a promo video made by our PI and the interaction designer. So it's 40 seconds only, so it shouldn't be too boring. If I can play it. No. So maybe I won't show it to you actually. Oh yeah.
Our browsing history and search data are deeply personal, and a majority of web users share these data with advertisers via cookies.
The goal of the Digital Halo project is to showcase just how revealing our personal browsing and search history is. The analyses needed for these visualizations take place on users' own personal machines using OpenPDS. This allows users to share salient features of their own data with researchers while also ensuring security and privacy.
Okay, so that's it. Do you have any questions?
Thanks so much. Okay, what are your questions? Session after lunch. I guess I have one that is, you're going to have this model to infer what can be done on your data. So can you elaborate a little bit on what is exactly the inference model that you've been using? You said there's an open source.
I mean, it's not completely open source. It's kind of something that you can get, but it's not like an established model. It's very simple. We just have odds ratios of persons being in certain demographic categories if they visit the website. So we just do it. This model is not the main focus on it. It's just like the beginning of the presentation.
Okay. So the model is basically looking at the density of, for instance, female in their 30s that visit this website,
exactly.
Using that for inference.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that's some question.
Just a follow-up question.
Yes, go ahead.
So if you're using a proprietary system for estimating demographic information based on the observations you've made of the user behavior, I think it's a safe assumption that Facebook is probably going to be better at doing that than you are. And do you have any indication of how the accuracy of the inferences that you're making affects the ability of the tool you've built to achieve the goal that you want to achieve with it? Like if I put this tool out there and the inferences that the tool is making are really wrong, does that make a user feel safe instead of feeling vulnerable? If the point is to make them feel vulnerable because, oh my God, I'm being tracked everywhere. Do you have any idea, just in your intuition, how the accuracy of what you're doing affects achieving the goal of the system, or is it just completely irrelevant?
Yeah, it's a very, very good and important question. Well, we need to check it basically. We don't have that information yet, but we'll definitely check it. We're working more on the infrastructure so far, so we can go forward from there.
Yes. Oh, yeah, we'll take another one. Yes, please.
I just want to step away from the minutia of all that's here and ask you, everything you've presented is based on triggering fear by presenting data, and that is one approach for changing behavior. If I come to you and tell you that if you take this, you're going to die of cancer, then you might change your behavior because of that fear. I'm just wondering if you looked at the opposite and perhaps presented this in a form of a game that was interesting and attractive and sent the same message but in a reverse fashion.
Well, we didn't think of a game, but that's definitely a very good suggestion, very interesting one.
In other words, it'd be points driven. I'll give you an example. We had earlier a Facebook presentation where you could find out how much you're helping Facebook's bottom line. That could be turned into points, and those points could be to use to purchase avatars, which people are willing to do and could do lots of things. But the point being taken there is, as you ride higher with the amount of data and how much you expose yourself, at some point you look down and say, oh my God, I'm 30,000 feet off the ground here. I need to change my behavior. I'm not happy. So it sends the exact same message, but it attracts. It's not based on fear. I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah, I agree. We were trying to balance it, actually, having the presentation of cookie monsters, which are not scary by themselves, and then of having also the part which gives the user, all the backend part, which gives the user the sovereignty, or supposed to give sovereignty over the data, to show that the tracking can be done in a responsible way, and a way that's transparent. I mean, first I said using the cookie monsters is not, but yeah, I mean, if we were making a game, and perhaps we will, we would do it.
I guess just, one thing we can say is also this project is going to be a tool that anyone can sort of use. Otherwise, how to get them. The tool that will be done by this project will also be used for other particular design, like the one you propose. This is the point of the research community, is also to make things that other can be used. So that's the new one. Yeah, well, first we should probably do something about the people downstairs. But I was just saying that, to follow up your point, you could use a tool made in any of the project of the DTL community to build other designs. So maybe this tool say, I'm going to scare you, and that's what they do, but you could reuse what they do and do something else. That's a great question. I think there was more and more. No, you're done. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.